Sarah loved the old library. To most people, it was just a dusty, forgotten building at the edge of town, but to her, it was a haven. The towering bookshelves seemed endless, and the faint smell of aged paper felt like a secret shared only with her. There was something special about this place, something she couldn't quite put into words. One afternoon, Sarah wandered into a section she didn't recognize. The shelves here were taller, the air colder. It felt like the library was holding its breath. That's when she saw it, a thin, crumbling book wedged awkwardly between two thick volumes. Its spine was cracked, and the title was impossible to read through the dust. Carefully, she slid the book out and brushed it off. The cover was made of leather, worn and peeling, and the pages inside looked like they could turn to powder at any moment. "What are you hiding?" Sarah whispered to herself as she opened it. The moment the cover creaked open, the room exploded in a burst of swirling lights. Colors danced around her, wrapping her in a whirlwind of gold and silver. She felt herself being pulled, the ground disappearing beneath her feet. A new world. When Sarah opened her eyes, she was no longer in the library. She stood in the middle of a forest unlike anything she'd ever seen. The trees glowed softly, their trunks shimmering like polished gemstones, and the air smelled sweet like honey and wildflowers. "Where am I?" she muttered. "You're in Luminara," a voice said. Sarah spun around and nearly screamed. A squirrel, no bigger than her shoe, was sitting on a branch, holding a tiny acorn like a staff. "Did you just talk?" she asked, her voice shaking. Yeah, I get it," the squirrel replied, rolling his eyes. "And I'm Ollie," the owl said, his deep voice carrying an air of authority. "You're not supposed to be here." "I didn't mean to come here," Sarah exclaimed. "I was just reading a book, and then—" "You opened the book," Ollie interrupted. He sighed heavily. "The Book of Portals. It doesn't just let you read, it takes you places. And now you've landed yourself in Luminara." Sarah's stomach sank. "How do I get back?" Ollie's eyes narrowed. "There's only one way, the Book of Return. It's hidden deep in the enchanted glade, guarded by the keeper. The path is dangerous, and not everyone makes it." Sarah's heart raced, but she straightened her shoulders. "I have to try." Max smirked. "I like her. She's got guts." The forest tests. Their journey began through the heart of the forest. The deeper they went, the stranger things became. Trees whispered as they passed, their voices like faint echoes. Tiny, glowing creatures zipped through the air, leaving trails of light behind them. "Stick to the path," Ollie warned. "The forest doesn't take kindly to wanderers." It wasn't long before the first challenge appeared. They reached a clearing where the path split into 3 directions, each one marked with a sign: the path of truth, the path of shadows, and the path of chaos. "Which one do we take?" Sarah asked. Max hopped up and down. "Path of chaos." "Sounds fun?" "No," Ollie said firmly. "Chaos is unpredictable. Truth is the safest." Sarah thought for a moment. "What about shadows?" Ollie ruffled his feathers. "Shadows play tricks. But sometimes, the harder path holds the greater reward." After a brief debate, Sarah chose the path of shadows. The trickster shadows. The air grew colder as they entered the path. Shadows danced along the ground, whispering things that made Sarah's skin crawl. "Sarah," one of them hissed, its voice eerily familiar. "You don't belong here. Turn back." Another shadow morphed into a figure that looked like her best friend, waving her over. "Come with me," it said softly. "Don't listen to them," Max shouted, grabbing Sarah's arm as she hesitated. The shadows grew bolder, surrounding them. Sarah's heart pounded, but she remembered something Ollie had said earlier. Shadows hate light. She scanned the area and spotted a cluster of glowing mushrooms. Grabbing one, she held it high, the light driving the shadows back. "That's it," Ollie said. "Keep going." They sprinted through the rest of the path, the light protecting them until they emerged on the other side. The Bridge of Stars. Their next challenge came in the form of a river, its surface shimmering like liquid silver. A bridge stretched across it, but it was broken, with several planks missing. Floating nearby were pieces of glowing wood, each one carved with strange symbols. "This is the Bridge of Stars," Ollie explained. "To cross, we must solve the puzzle." Sarah studied the symbols and realized they matched the constellations in the sky above. Piece by piece, she placed the planks in the correct order, holding her breath with each step. When the final plank clicked into place, the bridge lit up and they crossed safely. "Not bad," Max said, nudging her arm. "The keeper's challenges." Finally, they reached the enchanted glade. It was breathtaking. Fields of glowing flowers stretched as far as the eye could see, and a massive tree stood at the center, its branches sparkling like stars. The keeper emerged, her presence both regal and intimidating. She was tall, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies. "You seek the Book of Return," she said, her voice melodic. "But to earn it, you must pass 3 trials." The first trial was a maze of mirrors. Inside, Sarah faced countless reflections of herself, each one whispering doubts and fears. She had to find the real her and trust her instincts to escape. The second trial was a pool that reflected her worst fears. She saw herself alone, lost in the forest, unable to return home. But she faced the vision head-on, refusing to let it control her. The final trial was a locked chest guarded by a riddle. "I am not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I?" "Fire," Sarah said confidently, and the chest unlocked, revealing the golden Book of Return. "Homeward bound." The keeper smiled. "You have proven yourself, Sarah. The book is yours." As Sarah opened the book, light swirled around her, lifting her off the ground. Max and Ollie waved goodbye, their faces a mix of pride and sadness. "Come back soon," Max shouted. "You'll always have a place here," Ollie added. When the light faded, Sarah was back in the library. The ancient book lay in her hands, but now its cover glowed faintly, as if holding a secret. As she placed it back on the shelf, she whispered, "Thank you." From somewhere in the distance, she thought she heard Max's mischievous laugh.